retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Beat in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab it and taste it.
Good Lord, I am telling you, Mother Nature just doesn't know when to fucking quit. It starts off cooler in the morning, and then it's as hot as a grizzly bear's nutsack as we get to the afternoon. It's ridiculous. I am sick and tired of it. I would like some 70-degree days with a breeze, and I would actually like to enjoy summer instead of constantly going over to this place, although I do like this place right here because it's rather cool over here, but I can't even be up in my own bedroom because it's like a fucking sauna over there. It is absolutely unbelievable. Let me fix my camera here just a little bit. There you go. That seems like it's a little bit better. Let me move it over to this side, move it over here. There you go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Sean, shut up. Shut up, Sean. I'm a New York Yankees guy, and I will always be a New York Yankees guy. I know they suck. They started out as the best team in the league, and now they've gone to absolute shit. It's unbelievable. I thought we were getting 1998 Yankees. I guess not. Regardless of that, you already know what time it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to the greatest motherfucking show on earth as we are streaming live on 4 different platforms across 4 different accounts. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy, and the operator of the Best Damn X, formerly known as Twitter, handle known to mankind, and this is the official Lightning Flash update for July 6th, 2024. The first LFU of July, second stream of July. I hope all of you had a wonderful 4th of July, and it is 4th of July weekend. See, July is the real Pride Month. Fuck June. July is the real Pride Month. America, motherfuckers. America. We got a lot of shit to talk about as per usual. I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. I hope that you guys are staying cool. I hope you guys are sitting in front of a fan or an AC or a vent, something to keep you cool, whether you got ice cubes underneath your fucking armpits, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be. It is time to turn up the heat. I'm telling you, it's going to be hotter than it is outside when we start talking about the nitty-gritty shit here on the LFU. We got a lot of shit to get into, including Ricochet officially being a free agent. Will Ospreay showcases how much class he has backstage as he elected to put over Swerve Strickland so people would stop thinking that Swerve is just a transitional champion for Will Ospreay. Also, Sammy Guevara's return to AEW has been discussed. And Sasha Banks, a.k.a. Mercedes Moné, she had a run-in with Shane McMahon at an airport in New York City. They had a little talk. And one of the topics that came up in the conversation was All Elite Wrestling. In addition to that, Monday Night Raw gave us a solid go-home show for Money in the Bank. The Wyatt Six continue to target Chad Gable. The Money in the Bank ladder match fields have been finalized. And we got 2 very good, very unpredictable looking Money in the Bank ladder matches. And Triple H, based on what I'm seeing, is looking to rebuild the Money in the Bank concept which I am very happy about. SmackDown wasn't really all that interesting, although we did get some great tag team wrestling on SmackDown. And if anything, WWE showcased that if they really want to build a competitive tag team division, they absolutely can. On AEW's side of the fence, they had one of their best weeks of the year coming out of Forbidden Door, which was a very good show. Not the best. This was probably the weakest Forbidden Door that they've ever done, but it was still a very good show. Nonetheless, capped off by an excellent main event with Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. Coming out of Forbidden Door, MJF, he is back to being his normal prick-like self as he decimates Daniel Garcia to end Dynamite. In addition to that, the Owen Hart Cup tournament continues as we have 3 Owen Hart Cup tournament matches, 2 for the women, 1 for the men. We have another men's Owen Hart Cup match tonight on Collision. Will Ospreay, he seems to have his opponent set up for All In. Dr. Britt Baker is back. Will Ospreay actually left the Don Callis family, and Don Callis has replaced him with a certain Mexican savage by the name of El Toro Blanco, Roosh. We have a lot to discuss, but before we get into all the specifics there, please make sure, if you have not already done so, follow me on social media, on X and Instagram, at HistoryMakerDJS. One more time, at HistoryMakerDJS, both on X and Instagram, because I make history in everything that I do. Sean coming out of the gates with a $1 super chat. I greatly appreciate you, Sean. Always appreciate the support. Any type of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, and or channel memberships is always appreciated. If you guys want to show some support, throw in the super chats, throw in the super stickers, throw in the super thanks, or become a member of the channel. You can also follow me on Facebook. And for collaborations and business inquiries, please send me an email. My email is, of course, stormstakeover@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, all those links are in the description, as well as the link to my Rumble account. We're looking to build a nice, solid fan base over on Rumble, so please go and check me out over on Rumble. It is incredibly vital that you do so, because Rumble is a nice alternative to YouTube. And there are no major content creators for professional wrestling over on Rumble. I seem to be the only one of my kind, and we're going to continue to build momentum week after week after week over on Rumble. In addition to that, please make sure that you like the stream, no matter where you're watching it from, whether you're watching it on Facebook, YouTube, X, or Rumble. It's incredibly vital that you do so, because we are looking to get a nice wide outreach. We're going to get as many people in here as possible, because everyone needs their dose of DJ Shizzle Dizzle. It is a known fact that I make people's lives better. I didn't make the rules. Yes, I did. In addition to that, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. And, of course, share the stream out on all platforms, social media, and hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace, because that way you are going to know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, you already know, baby, it is the best motherfucking time to be on YouTube, because it is the only time that you are going to get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combo and this beautiful mustache right here. Get your DJ Storms merch, whether it be the wristbands, the combs, the t-shirts, it don't matter. Please show some support in any way that you possibly can. And you already know, James Punisecca, when you take in that deep breath and you go, oh, you already know it's the smell of pure motherfucking excellence. How you doing, DG70? Nice of you to drop by. We have a lot of material to discuss, and we are not going to waste any more time when we get straight into the festivities here. Need that. Fightful Select reported that Ricochet is officially a free agent. Many people thought that Ricochet's contract was ending towards the end of this month. It was actually towards the beginning of this month. Ricochet is free to work and sign anywhere that he wants to. And it seems like Ricochet is all but confirmed to sign with All Elite Wrestling. That is something that I can get behind. I cannot wait to see Ricochet in AEW. It's going to be a great thing to see because Ricochet, he is fantastic at what he does. And even under the Triple H administration, when WWE shifted away from Vince McMahon, Ricochet still did not get the proper appreciation that he deserved. And it's quite disappointing. So now I'm hoping under AEW, he'll be able to go out there on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis and do what he needs to do, and that is go out there and put on fucking bangers like we all know he can. And after All In, seems as though we're going to have ourselves a huge, and I mean a huge mega match with Ricochet and Will Ospreay whenever that may take place. I know that it's going to be a big talking point amongst the entire IWC, and it is going to feed generations just like Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay did. So I'm looking forward to seeing where Ricochet goes next. I hope to see him in New Japan as well. Maybe he's in the G1 Climax. Who knows? I got a report regarding the TNA and NXT partnership crossover. According to PW Insider, it is expected to last past Slammiversary. Slammiversary is coming up, and PW Insider was asked about the idea of Wes Lee reuniting with the Rascals, Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel. A WWE source said that, and I quote, nothing is off the table as the two sides continue to build their relationship. I am certainly not against Wes Lee reuniting with the Rascals. I'm certainly not against that. That would be a very, very, very nice little throwback to what they were prior to Wes Lee and Nash Carter, a.k.a. Zachary Wentz, signing with NXT under the name MSK before we had that ridiculous scenario with Nash Carter and how Nash Carter was unjustifiably fired because of a fucking tweet that came up or whatever cancel culture bullshit that they wanted to fire Nash Carter of. Way too fucking hard. Way too fucking hard. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are avid fans of TNA and NXT would enjoy seeing the Rascals reunite. I don't really care. I don't really care what they do because NXT and TNA, they are the top two least interesting promotions in wrestling right now. They're at the bottom of the totem pole. I've talked about this numerous amounts of times. I shouldn't have to go in depth on it again. I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. No one cares about NXT. No one gives a shit about TNA. If they want to partner up, I mean, go ahead. But how long before it gets old? How long before it gets old? We're not even seeing anything regarding the NXT TNA partnership on Heatwave. There are no crossovers from TNA showing up on NXT Heatwave. Now, granted, maybe they could do a surprise appearance by someone. I don't know if it's going to be a Frankie Kazarian or a Joe Hendry, whatever it may be. But in the end, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that is genuinely interesting about the NXT TNA partnership. Even Joe Hendry, who came over from TNA and he went to NXT, he was eliminated from the Battle Royal in 15 seconds, got a big pop, and then immediately thrown out. That goes to show you what WWE really thinks about TNA. Asuka. Unfortunately, I am coming to you with bad news about Asuka. Per Fightful, according to the people in WWE, due to her injury, Asuka is likely to miss the rest of the year. She has a knee injury, and that, quite frankly, sucks because the Raw Women's Division, hell, the Women's Division in general, they are in need of help. They are in need of help because you take a look at the landscape of the Women's Division, the biggest storyline, the biggest thing going in the Women's Division is Liv Morgan seducing Dominic Mysterio. I mean, I will give her credit after what her and Zelina Vega did this past Monday on Raw. They actually showcased that if you want to invest in other people besides the big names, that the other individuals in the division are willing to step up and showcase as to why they should be in the spots that the other individuals are in, like a Rhea Ripley or a Becky Lynch or an Asuka, people like a Liv Morgan, people like a Zelina Vega, people like a Candice LeRae, people like a Tegan Nox, people like a Dakota Kai. They could be in these higher positions if you give them the chance to do what they do. And right now they're not. But Asuka, I'm telling you, WWE, they're going to have to step up their game with the women's division. I mean, you take a look at what they're doing with Bayley on SmackDown. Bayley's title reign has been awful, and we're going to go in depth on that when we get to the SmackDown portion of the review. Bayley's title reign has been a complete fucking disappointment. Very, very, very disappointing from an overall perspective. They have given her nothing to work with. They have built up no challengers. They have done absolutely nothing in order to make that title reign feel important. If anything, I'm pretty sure a lot of you forgot that Bayley was even the women's champion before I just brought it up. So Asuka being out, that definitely harms the WWE women's division, more specifically because WWE has done nothing to build up anyone else to slide into those spots. WWE is almost afraid of creating new stars. The only new star that they're really investing in is Braun Breaker. Sammy Guevara. According to Sean Ross Sapp, creative plans have been discussed for Sammy Guevara's return to AEW. It may be a bit, quote-unquote, outside of the box. Not really sure what they mean by outside of the box, but I guess the only thing that I can really think of is potentially having him aligned with the Elite. I don't know if that would be very much logical, because if you think about it, Sammy Guevara really doesn't have much of a history with the Elite, and if anything, his history with the Elite in the beginning portions of AEW involved him going against the Elite rather than being buddy-buddy with the Elite. So based on what I'm saying, and based on what I have in my head, Sammy Guevara, the only outside-of-the-box idea would be pairing him with the Elite, but you already have Jack Perry with the Elite. Jack Perry already is occupying the role of the young prick of the Elite that is getting all the shine, all the spotlight, and he's benefiting from latching on to the Elite. So we don't really need a second guy there. I don't know what they're going to do for Sammy Guevara's return. I mean, if you ask me, I would personally love to see a match with Sammy Guevara and Will Ospreay. If you want to go that route, Guevara and Will Ospreay for the International Championship, that would be interesting. Maybe we see Sammy Guevara going after Swerve Strickland for the World Championship, but then again, you have to build him up over time. He shouldn't be involved with Chris Jericho. I mean, he's been involved with Chris Jericho for God knows how long now. It's time for Sammy Guevara to really branch out on his own and do his own thing going forward. So I honest to God, don't know what they're going to do with Sammy Guevara. I just hope that they give him the opportunity to go out there and showcase to us what he can do in the ring. Because when Sammy's in the ring, when you give him the opportunity to go out there and wrestle, Sammy Guevara always delivers. Sammy Guevara delivers in big match scenarios. And I'm going to throw this out there. Sammy Guevara should be a heel. Sammy Guevara needs to be a heel. I understand you want to try and build him up as a genuine babyface, but after the whole incident with Ty Mello and the feud that they had with American Top Team and that shit, it just didn't resonate. Sammy wasn't coming off as a babyface. Sammy Guevara is a heel. Sammy Guevara is a heel, and Sammy Guevara works best when he is playing a conniving prick. He has the look of a prick. That's pretty much what I'm saying. The man has the look of an absolute prick. The guy has a punchable face. It's the same thing with Mercedes. Mercedes comes off as a heel. Same thing with a guy like a Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin is a heel. Or The Miz. The Miz comes off as a heel. Certain individuals should not be babyface. Sammy Guevara is one of them. Sean Ross Sapp. Again, Sean Ross Sapp. Sean Ross Sapp came out with a lot of reports this week. Sean Ross Sapp actually gave an update on WWE's interest on Hikuleo. They have had interest in debuting him since a year and a half ago. And based on what I'm seeing, Hikuleo, if they are going to bring him in, the best spot for Hikuleo would probably be on Roman Reigns' side of the bloodline, because when Roman Reigns comes back, Jey Uso's inevitably going to fall into place there, and then Jimmy Uso's going to come back. They're going to need a fourth man, because right now Solo is in control of the bloodline. He's got Tama Tonga. He's got Tonga Loa. He's got Jacob Fatu. Who does Roman Reigns have besides the Usos? Putting Hikuleo in there on Roman Reigns' side of the fence, that would balance out the playing field, and we could potentially see where we're going for a Bloodline War Games match. I've been predicting this since Roman Reigns lost the championship. Solo Sikoa is recruiting new members to the bloodline. He's building his own personal bloodline. He's building the bloodline in his image, not Roman's image. So what happens now? Roman comes back, recruits the people that he needs to recruit, and now Roman Reigns is going to go up against Solo Sikoa, and we're going to have a bloodline civil war. And I mean a legit bloodline civil war. I've talked about this numerous amounts of times. Whatever the fuck we got last year with the whole bloodline civil war leading into Money in the Bank last year, that was all bullshit. That was complete and utter bullshit. Nothing, and I mean nothing about that was intriguing at all. So now that we have Solo playing the definitive heel and Roman being the babyface, and it's quite ironic considering that Vince McMahon tried for so long to push Roman as a babyface, nothing worked. Now Roman Reigns is going to get an organic babyface reaction because we respect Roman Reigns for what he's done for the championship, what he's done for the business, and because Solo is acting like a fucking dickhead. Now things are a lot more interesting. Things come off a lot more genuine. Last year felt forced. This year feels a lot more real. It feels a lot more gritty. Feels a lot more intriguing than what we got last year with the Usos taking on Roman and Solo, where Roman was wrestling and he wasn't even defending the fucking championship. That pissed me the fuck off. But now we got ourselves a real, genuine, gritty bloodline civil war. Now things are about to get a lot more exciting than they were last year. Will Ospreay, the Willie Goat, the Billy Goat, Bruv Central. I got a report on Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. Why was the match booked for Forbidden Door? Now, I threw out my own personal takes on why the match was booked for Forbidden Door. Matter of fact, it wasn't even personal takes. It actually came off as pretty legit if you think about it. Why was Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland booked for Forbidden Door? I pitched the idea, and I pitched the claim that it was booked out of desperation to sell tickets, and it did sell tickets. So I guess in that sense, they kind of succeeded. But it was booked to sell tickets, number one, and it was booked to generate interest because Tony Khan felt like people were losing interest in AEW TV. And then it was also booked because there was no one else to fight Swerve Strickland. There was nobody else that was built up enough to fight Swerve Strickland at Forbidden Door other than Will Ospreay. There was no one else over the course of X amount of weeks that Tony Khan built up. No one from New Japan, no one from CMLL, no one from AEW. There was no one that had enough momentum that would look credible against Swerve Strickland other than Will Ospreay. So they did that because there was nobody else. Now they're building up Hangman. Now Swerve has another challenger leading into All In, but going into Forbidden Door, there was no one else. Apparently, none of those things were the case. It was stated that Will Ospreay himself pitched the match because he wanted to eliminate the talking point of Swerve being a placeholder champion for him until All In at Wembley Stadium. So Will Ospreay was in tune with what people were saying, and Will Ospreay said, listen, bruv, I understand that people may think he's a transitional champion, but I want to eliminate that idea. I do not want to win the world championship now because it's not my time. Because Swerve deserves to be in this spot. Swerve deserves to be in a position where he is the guy. And that's exactly what Will Ospreay did. Will Ospreay himself, Will Ospreay, gave up his spot as a potential world champion this year. Will Ospreay willingly gave up his spot as a potential world champion in 2024 to give that credibility and transfer that credibility to Swerve Strickland because he knows that it is not his time. This is the way to go. And I am speaking to everyone who is in the professional wrestling industry. Selflessness is the way to go. And we'll elaborate on that in just a little bit. Will Ospreay willingly put himself out there and said, listen, it's not my time. I want to give Swerve that little boost of credibility that he deserves because of all the work that he has put in. I know how good I am. I'm going to be a world champion, but I'm not going to be a world champion just yet. It is Swerve's time. That is exactly the type of individual that every single promoter should want on their roster. Someone who is as good as Will Ospreay. He knows he's good. He knows he's going to be world champion, but he is not a selfish prick about it. And anyone that's trying to twist this into some sort of negative aspect about AEW, you need to fucking stop. You need to fucking check yourself, or you just need to fucking shut the hell up and remain quiet. There is no reason to complain about this whatsoever. Everyone in the pro wrestling industry should strive to be like Will Ospreay. This was an incredibly selfless act on his part, and he deserves to be praised for it. Dijak. Sean Ross Sapp gave a little insight on why the WWE called up Dijak and they had no plans to use him. For those of you that were unaware, I'm sure a lot of you may have forgotten, Dijak, he was called up from NXT. He was getting consistent time on NXT. They called him up from NXT during the draft without any plans to use him and any plans to extend his contract, and they moved him up to the WWE main roster. They didn't use him. They deliberately did that because he was getting consistent screen time, and they effectively sidelined him until his contract expired. What a fucking shit move on WWE's part. What a fucking shit move. It's actually quite depressing that even under Triple H, the same shit with Ricochet, even under Triple H, WWE cannot seem to utilize certain talent properly. They can't. Ricochet at least should be fighting for world championships. I'm not saying he's got to be a world champion within the next 4 months, but I mean, holy fuck. Ricochet should at least be in the world championship hunt. They have done nothing with Ricochet. Then you got Dijak. The fact that Dijak has been employed by the WWE for 6 years, think about this, 6 years, since 2018, this guy has been employed by the WWE, and they have done absolutely nothing with him. They have given this man no championships whatsoever. They have given this man not even a chance of succeeding on the main roster. So much so that he went back down to NXT to try and rejuvenate his career. And he did rejuvenate his career down in NXT. And yet, what did they do with him? What did they do? They did nothing. They did absolutely nothing with him. They went out of their way to use Dijak as a glorified enhancement talent. Dijak went back down to NXT. You could have at least given this man a measly 30-day reign as NXT North American champion, but they didn't. And that right there is absolutely fucking pathetic in every sense of the word. Dijak, he was called up from NXT with no plans to extend his contract, no plans to utilize him on the main roster. Also, they could sideline him and let his contract run out. That is absolutely fucking pathetic. And it really proves my point when I say that even under the new administration, this company, the WWE, still does not know how to invest in new stars. They still do not know how to invest in certain talent that deserve to be there, that have worked their ass off to be there, so much so that they sideline an individual by calling him up from a place where he's getting consistent TV time. They don't even decide to extend his contract. Meanwhile, Omos is still employed by the WWE, and you only bring him out for battle royals. I'm telling you right now, WWE is going to regret letting Dijak go. He's going to prove a lot of people wrong. Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis. Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis. Two pathetic excuses for human beings. Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis. Sean Ross Sapp. Again, Sean Ross Sapp. Telling you, I don't even fucking like the guy, but yet I'm quoting him left and right in this show. Sean Ross Sapp reported an update on John Laurinaitis and Vince McMahon's court case. And he talked about the internal feelings of people in the WWE, what they think of what is going on with John Laurinaitis and Vince McMahon. And I am going to tell you that WWE could, I'm not saying it's a definite, but they could very well regret not acknowledging this as something serious. The people in WWE are not nearly as concerned about the company personally, according to Sean Ross Sapp. He stated, and I quote, "They expect things to be found about Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis. That's just the long and short of it. At least from a talent standpoint, everybody feels rid of those two guys. There was a false sense of security a few years ago, but now it has been reiterated internally that there is no longer an association there." Now, I understand where they're coming from a talent standpoint. From a talent standpoint, no one has to worry about John Laurinaitis and Vince McMahon. However, from a business standpoint, from a managerial standpoint, that is where they need to worry. From a talent standpoint, Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis, they're never going to have a single effect on anyone in that locker room ever again. However, one thing that cannot, and I mean one thing that cannot be ignored, is the fact that Vince McMahon, no matter how sadistic he may be, no matter how petty he may be, no matter what he has up his sleeve, no matter anything that you want to call this man, Vince McMahon will stop at nothing until he gets what he wants. So much so that he threatened to hold the company hostage with his own stock. He threatened to hold the company hostage with his own stock until they let him back into the board so that way he can facilitate a sale of the company. And we got TKO, combination between the UFC and the WWE. He forced his way back in so that way he could be involved with TKO, and then ultimately he got the rug pulled out from underneath him because of Ari Emanuel. But at this very moment, Vince McMahon does not have anything to do with the WWE, at least not now. The question is, what is Vince McMahon going to do when it comes to this court case? Because when this court case happens, if you don't think that Vince McMahon is going to involve people within the WWE, and on top of that, Janelle Grant, she's suing the WWE too. Janelle Grant is suing the WWE company as a whole as well. So if you do not think that Vince McMahon is going to try and pull a fast one to a point where WWE is going to be at least in some sort of trouble, if you don't think that Vince is going to try and take the WWE down with him, you are sorely mistaken. That is the one thing that I am worried about. Nothing has really come about of it in recent weeks. Which means things really haven't amped up yet. I don't know what's going on in this court case, but there is a good chance that Vince McMahon is going to use whatever information he can to bring WWE down to the gallows with him. Why? It's simple. Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis, they are not being thought of by anyone in WWE. That is a mistake on WWE's side of the fence. Because no matter what they find on Vince and John Laurinaitis, Janelle Grant is still suing the WWE. You don't think that Vince McMahon knows this? You don't think that Vince McMahon is going to try and use that in his favor? Vince McMahon is the most petty motherfucker on the planet. Vince McMahon is going to do whatever he can if he realizes that he is going down. If Vince McMahon realizes that he is going down, he is going to do everything in his power to take the WWE down with him. Whatever information that he can conjure up, whatever piece of evidence that he may have up his sleeve, if he cannot run the WWE in his eyes, then no one can. WWE should be concerned about Vince potentially taking them down with him. And then finally, Mercedes Mone was seen on Monday morning with Shane McMahon at LaGuardia Airport in New York City, and they were speaking on their way to their respective flights. One source confirmed that they did indeed have a conversation about All Elite Wrestling. What does this mean? I do not know. I don't know. I believe that there was one AEW source that came out and said that Shane McMahon having interest in joining AEW is not true. Shane McMahon said that the interest in joining AEW is not true, according to this one source. However, I would not put it past Mercedes Mone to be in a business conversation with Shane McMahon and potentially talk to Shane McMahon about the positives of All Elite Wrestling. I don't know if they can really trust Shane McMahon, if we're going to be quite honest. I do not know if they can truthfully trust Shane McMahon. Now, if Shane McMahon really does have good intentions and Shane McMahon wants to help AEW, if he wants to help AEW from a business perspective, if he wants to help AEW by helping them structure their shows a little bit better, if he wants to help them from a marketing perspective, you know what? I'm all for that. But the question is, like I've always been stating, can Tony Khan trust Shane McMahon when it comes to actually building a real, genuine business relationship, or is Tony Khan going to try and pull the rug out from underneath, or if Shane is going to try and pull the rug out from underneath Tony Khan, and Shane McMahon is going to try and make AEW all about himself? That's the one question that I have, and that is the one question that I'm going to continue to ask, because I do not know at all. I do not know where Shane McMahon's true intentions lie. I don't. But I guess maybe Mercedes Mone could do some convincing to Shane McMahon. Maybe Mercedes Mone, who is a woman right now, Mercedes Mone, listen, no matter what you think of her, Mercedes Mone, you play nice with her. You don't disrespect her, and you don't try and abuse the talent that she has. You don't shortchange her, and you actually treat women's wrestling and the sport of women's wrestling with respect, which is all that she wants. She's going to be your best friend, and that's exactly why Tony Khan is in the good graces of her. That's why Tony Khan and Mercedes have a mutual agreement. They have a friendship. They have a great understanding, because these two individuals, they love the sport of professional wrestling. Mercedes Mone is getting the spotlight that she would not have gotten in the WWE. Instead, in WWE, she was used as a glorified enhancement talent, and now she's in a position where she is going to help the division overall across the globe. Because WWE does not push women's wrestling like AEW does. AEW was once in a bad spot when it comes to women's wrestling. Now, on a week-to-week basis, AEW's women's division ends up outshining WWE's women's division from a match-to-match standpoint. She wanted to get Stephanie Vacour over at Forbidden Door, and she did just that. did Mercedes Moné. I'm not sure if she can convince Shane McMahon to not be a fucking conniving prick, but crazier things have happened. Although nothing is official right now, it's all just speculation until we actually see something happen, until we actually hear or see about Shane McMahon potentially meeting with Tony Khan. We cannot say anything. Right now, it's all just speculation. It's all just what if. But hey, it's an interesting piece of information nevertheless. Those are your news, rumors, and reports. I hope you guys are having a great time. Thank you very much to Dylan. Thank you very much to Sean. Thank you very much to Adam, Carl, and James Punaseca. You guys are great. We got 18 people across 4 platforms watching the stream as we speak. Please make sure you like, you comment, and subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. Be sure to hit the super chats, hit the super stickers, hit the super thanks, become a member of the channel, and share the stream out on all platforms of social media so that way we can get as many people in here as possible. NXT Heatwave. NXT Heatwave. We got ourselves 6 matches confirmed for NXT Heatwave. We got a pre-show match for NXT Heatwave. I may as well get these predictions out of the way because there was no Savage Storm review. There was no Savage Storm Super Show on Thursday. Me and Savage will be back next Thursday with episode number 5. We did not do one this past Thursday because it was the 4th of July, and we figured that we'd take the day off, spend some time with the families, and relax. But I may as well go over NXT Heatwave and predict what's going down at NXT Heatwave. We got Ariana Grace and Carmen Petrovic versus Jasmine Nix and JC Jane. Women's tag team match on the pre-show. I mean, who cares really? I mean, it's a pre-show match. WWE has not treated the pre-show like something of substance. AEW doesn't really treat the pre-show like something of substance either, which I really fucking hate. But at the end of the day, who gives a shit about this match? The women's division in NXT has really taken a turn for the worse. The women's division in NXT has really lost a lot of star power. I mean, why'd you think they brought in Jordan Grace to fight Roxanne Perez? I'm going with JC and Jasmine Nix. At the end of the day, I don't think anyone's really going to give a shit. The NXT Women's Championship match. It is Lola Vice and Roxanne Perez. I will say that Lola Vice has indeed gotten better time after time, match to match. She has definitely improved. I'm not going to sit here and discredit Lola Vice. However, I don't know if she is ready for that spot. Matter of fact, I don't think that anyone is on the level of Roxanne Perez. There is really no one right now in the NXT roster as we speak that is in the best possible position to take that title off of Roxanne Perez. For all we know, Roxanne Perez could very well hold that title going into next year. I don't know of anyone right now that is as good of a professional wrestler as Roxanne Perez. And the only individual that is as good of a babyface as Roxanne Perez is a heel, even though Roxanne isn't really that good of a heel, but you get what I'm saying. The only babyface that has really been built up enough isn't even fighting for the NXT Championship for the women. She's fighting for the NXT North American Championship for the women. It's Sol Ruca. Sol Ruca is fighting Kalani Jordan for the NXT Women's North American Championship. She's not even fighting Roxanne. So at this rate, as much as I appreciate the improvement from Lola Vice, I can't really sit here and say that Lola Vice is the best option to beat Roxanne Perez. She's not. I have Roxanne Perez winning. Roxanne Perez right now, even though she's really not that good of a heel, even though she comes off rather disingenuous as a heel, I'm not going to discredit the in-ring work of Roxanne Perez. As of right now, Roxanne Perez is one of the best things about NXT by default. From an in-ring perspective, that is. Not so much from a character perspective, because Roxanne Perez as a heel, it just doesn't resonate. It doesn't. But I got Roxanne Perez beating Lola Vice. Chase U. This is Andre Chase and Duke Hudson versus Nathan Frazer and Axiom for the NXT Tag Team Championships. This is slightly unpredictable, I guess you could say, but ultimately, I do not see the champs losing. If anything, I would give Nathan Frazer and Axiom the Good Brothers again. I'm actually quite pissed that the Good Brothers did not end up winning the NXT Tag Team titles back at NXT Battleground. That was actually one of the worst outcomes that you could have ever, and I mean ever, done. How exactly are you going to bring Gallows and Anderson down to NXT, and you're not even going to give them the NXT Tag Team Championships when you got nothing going on SmackDown, you got nothing going on Raw for them, so you bring them down to NXT, and realistically, I'm not even bullshitting you right now. Realistically, the NXT Tag Team division, you could argue the NXT Tag Team division has the best tag teams from top to bottom. The NXT Tag Team division is by default the best tag team division in the WWE. The tag team divisions on Raw and SmackDown are virtually non-existent. They're virtually non-existent, but now you got something with the NXT Tag Team division, and what the fuck are you doing? What exactly are you doing with them? You're doing nothing. Nothing comes off as important with the Good Brothers. And it's actually quite depressing. I'm actually questioning, why did you come back to WWE in the first place if this is what you were going to do? If anything, I hope that the Good Brothers leave again. Unless the Good Brothers are just lazy and complacent and they're comfortable being in that spot. In which, in that case, listen, that's not something that I can respect, but it's their fucking career. They want to flush it down the drain, they can flush it down the drain. But the NXT Tag Team division, by default, is the best tag team division in the entire company right now. Nathan Frazer and Axiom, they're actually doing a very good job as NXT Tag Team champions. I don't see a single reason to take the championships off of them. Even though they don't really fit together, they don't really fit from a character standpoint, they are still very exciting to watch. I believe that some people have even compared them to Brian Kendrick and Paul London from back in the day. I can definitely see the comparisons there. I see Nathan Frazer and Axiom getting the win here. Kalani Jordan and Sol Ruca for the NXT Women's North American Championship. I actually had Sol Ruca winning that ladder match. They decided to give it to Kalani Jordan. I am not mad about that at all. If there was a second option besides Sol Ruca, the second best option would have been Kalani Jordan. They gave it to Kalani Jordan. I don't think Kalani Jordan has enough star power. However, just because she doesn't have enough star power, that doesn't mean that she can't work to gain star power. So, with that being said, Kalani Jordan being here with Sol Ruca is a great way for Kalani to build her star power, because people are going to want to see Kalani go in there and wrestle. People are going to want to see Kalani go in there and fight. People are going to want to see Kalani go in there and put on great women's matches. She's almost like the female version of Ricochet, although she doesn't do a lot of crazy shit as what Ricochet would normally do. She is still an extremely athletic individual. You can see the gymnastics background that Kalani Jordan possesses. And Sol Ruca, if we're going to be quite honest here, Sol Ruca is probably best suited to be built up to take the NXT Women's Championship off of Roxanne Perez. Matter of fact, that is the best direction for Sol Ruca. There is no one else. There is no other babyface right now in the NXT Women's division that has as much momentum as Sol Ruca has. Unless you want to give a TNA women's wrestler the opportunity to beat Roxanne. But I don't think that they're going to do that, because when has WWE ever experimented with someone who isn't even signed to the WWE as one of their top-tier champions for one of their brands? They've never done that. But Kalani Jordan just won the championship. There's no reason to take the championship off her. It would be completely foolish to take the championship off her. It'd be idiotic. Obafemi and Wes Lee This is for the NXT North American Championship for the men. This one is a little unpredictable in its own right. Now, if you want to really build up Obafemi as a monster, I get that. However, here's the one question that I have. If Obafemi beats Wes Lee, who are they going to build up to take the championship off of Obafemi? That's the one question that I have. Who on NXT right now is being built up after Wes Lee to take that championship off of Obafemi? There's nobody. No one on NXT right now has as much momentum as Obafemi. Matter of fact, I've even said that Obafemi is one of the best things about NXT right now. He's one of the only good things about NXT right now. Obafemi, he's got a lot, and I mean a lot of upside. And I was very hard. I was very hard on Obafemi when he first won the NXT North American Championship. I was very hard on him. I said he wasn't ready. I said he was way too green. I said that he did not come off as a championship-ready wrestler. But he proved me wrong. I'm happy to admit that I was wrong about Obafemi. And right now, Obafemi is indeed one of the best aspects about the overall NXT brand. But the question is, who are you going to build up to take that title off of Obafemi? In NXT right now, there's no one. Matter of fact, you can even make the argument that Obafemi, at this stage of the game, you could very well make the argument that Obafemi is above NXT. Unless you want to bring in a TNA wrestler. You want to bring in a Moose. If you want to have Moose lose the TNA World Championship, and then Moose potentially goes to NXT and goes after Obafemi, you want to have a big hoss fight. You want to have a war of meat, so to speak. You want to get the crowd to chant meat, meat, meat. That's certainly a way to do it. That is something that I would not be opposed to whatsoever. I wouldn't. However, I'm going to make a bold prediction here. And if anything, this is probably the best route to go. I don't see Trick Williams losing the NXT Championship. Even though I would love to see an Ethan Page or a Shawn Spears take the victory. I think Javon Evans is going to have a good showcase there, but I don't think Trick Williams is going to lose the NXT Championship at NXT Heatwave. He's not. Trick Williams is not going to lose that championship. It would be foolish to take the championship off of him. Absolutely foolish. So by that logic, Trick Williams is not losing the NXT Championship. I'm going to make a bold prediction right here. Wes Lee is going to beat Obafemi. I can absolutely see Wes Lee beating Obafemi. Matter of fact, that's the best route to go. Wes Lee beats Obafemi, and after Trick Williams wins the Fatal 4-Way, who exactly do they have left? To fight Trick Williams? They don't really have anybody. So if NXT No Mercy is coming around, I don't remember when NXT No Mercy is going to be. Maybe it's towards the end of September, right? If NXT No Mercy is going to take place towards the end of September, right? NXT No Mercy takes place towards the end of September, and then from there, we see Obafemi rebuilt after losing the North American Championship. Obafemi is rebuilt, and Obafemi is the man to take the NXT Championship off of Trick Williams. That is definitely something that would bring the NXT brand up in interest. If they want to go that route, if they really want to go that route, Obafemi beating Trick Williams for the championship, that is a great way to make Obafemi look like a monster. That's a great way to make Obafemi look like a legitimate heel, and a great way to build up some babyface sympathy for Trick Williams. If you want to keep Trick Williams' babyface momentum rolling, maybe you can have Trick Williams lose the championship and then go back after Obafemi, after Trick Williams takes a little bit of a break. So with that being said, I gave you 2 predictions right there. Wesley beats Obafemi, becomes the new North American champion, and Trick Williams survives the Fatal 4-Way. And those are my predictions for NXT Heat Wave. Hope you guys are having a fun time. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all those links in the description. You already know the drill. Do not be afraid to show some support, because when you show support to me, you know I'm going to show some support right back to you. Let us talk about Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw was a very, very solid show. WWE gave us a very, very good go-home show for Money in the Bank. And we ended up getting ourselves a couple of things here or there that generated a little bit of interest, including the Wyatt Six. The Money in the Bank fields have been flushed out. We have had a lot of great wrestling on this show. Seth Rollins and Damian Priest continued their build towards their match at Money in the Bank. And I do believe Dave Meltzer reported that that match is going to be the main event of the show. Looks like they could have something big there. So we got ourselves Jey Uso. Jey Uso kicking off the show. Jey Uso kicked off the show, and he welcomed everyone to Monday Night Raw. He said that he promises to win the Money in the Bank ladder match before Chad Gable comes out. Gable said that it is a miracle. It is a miracle that he is even out here right now after what's been happening to him the last 2 weeks. The crowd was chanting, "You suck." Chad accused Jey Uso of stealing the Fireflies from the Wyatt Six. He also said that Jey abandoned his own family. Jey said, "They can have the Fireflies back, but you see, your family left you. I may have left my family, but I left my family because they were abusing me. You didn't leave. Your family left you because you're a manipulative scumbag," said Jey Uso. So Gable attacked Jey. Jey fought back. Gable rolled out, and then all of a sudden, the lights went out. The crowd was chanting, "Holy shit," and they were bleeping out, "Holy shit." God, I cannot wait until WWE is on Netflix. Chad Gable was looking around, and then he left through the crowd. And as he was leaving through the crowd, he kept running into members of the Wyatt Six. He ran into Huskus the Pig, a.k.a. Joe Gacy. He ran into Rambling Rabbit, a.k.a. Eric Rowan. He ran into Dexter Loomis, Mercy the Buzzard, and he ended up leaving through the stands. Nikki Cross then came out, and she gave Michael Cole another package with another VHS tape. And they played that a little bit later on in the show. Now, I just have a couple things to say about this, and I'll keep it brief. The Wyatt Six and their presentation has been beautiful. The theatrics are gorgeous. Everything about the Wyatt Six so far in the last couple weeks has been gorgeous. It really has been. It's been a beautiful tribute to Bray Wyatt. But I have 2 questions. Number 1, why are they targeting Chad Gable? They haven't explained why they're targeting Chad Gable, so I'm confused. And then on another thought, there's 2 things I'm wondering. Why are they targeting Chad Gable, and when exactly are they going to wrestle? That's what I'm concerned about. The Wyatt Six and their presentation has been absolutely fantastic so far. The production and the lighting and the music and the costumes, everything about the Wyatt Six has been gorgeous. It's been a beautiful tribute to Bray Wyatt, but why exactly are they targeting Chad Gable? It's been 3 weeks, and we haven't gotten an explanation as to why they're targeting Gable, number 1. And number 2, when are they going to wrestle? I understand that Bray Wyatt has always been about these theatrical performances where the Wyatt Six, they feel like you're watching a movie. The VHS tapes are great, but this is a pro wrestling company at the end of the day. You can't just rely on cool theatrics production and VHS tape promos with Bo Dallas? Why are they targeting Gable, number one? And when are they going to wrestle? Because if they're not going to wrestle, then what is the point in investing in them? So moving on from that, we then went into a match between Xavier Woods and Karrion Kross. And Karrion Kross, after getting a victory last week over Kofi Kingston, I was thinking to myself, holy shit, hell froze over. Karrion Kross actually got a win. What are they going to do next? And what did they do next, people? Karrion Kross loses to Xavier Woods via a roll-up. He loses to Woods via a roll-up. And I know there's going to be some fucking retards out there that are going to try and come at me and say, well, Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain, they attacked the New Day right after the match. Hoi, 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 hoi. Okay, but what does it mean? Do you take the Final Testament seriously? Do these people take the Final Testament seriously? They're just there. They're just a faction full of bodies that are used to help get other people over. That is the general basis of the Final Testament. I swear to God, you take a look at Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain, they should be a hell of a lot further along than they are right now. Hell, they should be where the Judgment Day are right now, but they're not. Why? Because WWE Creative, they do not know how to invest in their undercard. Whether it's Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon, doesn't matter. WWE does not know how to invest in their undercard. So much so that you have Xavier Woods beating Karrion Kross. I don't give a fuck what you want to say or what you want to try and convince yourself. Wins and losses matter. Why don't people take Karrion Kross seriously? Because he's been doing nothing but losing. He's been doing nothing but losing matches that mean something. Karrion Kross should not be losing a random match on a random episode of Monday Night Raw against Xavier Woods, of all people. A man who has had a career with the New Day. They are virtually Hall of Famers. The New Day will go into the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. Why is Xavier Woods getting fluky wins over Karrion Kross? Why? Damian Hernandez. Bo Dallas gave the explanation why they're attacking Gable when Uncle Howdy asked if he thinks he is special, which is when Bo explained that special are the one that abused and uses people, a.k.a. Gable. Okay. You do realize that could be argued for everyone, right? How many individuals are abusing people right now? Solo Sikoa was abusing Paul Heyman. Why didn't the Wyatt Six attack them? Solo Sikoa is abusing Paul Heyman. Why didn't the Wyatt Six attack them? What about CM Punk and Drew McIntyre? Those two individuals are abusing each other. See, Drew McIntyre has been talking about CM Punk left, right, and center, abusing CM Punk. He literally destroyed CM Punk in his hometown, and he took CM Punk's bracelet with his wife and his dog's name on it. Why aren't the Wyatt Six attacking them? So let's just say that your argument is right, Damian Hernandez. Why aren't the Wyatt Six attacking Drew McIntyre? Because Drew McIntyre obviously thinks that he's special. He thinks that he's special. He thinks that he has become a victim of CM Punk. He's going out of his way to abuse CM Punk and exploit CM Punk. He exploited CM Punk on his t-shirt. Why aren't the Wyatt Six attacking him? What about Solo? Solo attacked Paul Heyman. Solo is making a mockery out of the bloodline, according to Paul Heyman. Solo is mocking Roman Reigns. Why isn't the Wyatt Six attacking Solo? What about Liv Morgan? I mean, isn't she seducing Dominic Mysterio? Isn't she exploiting Dominic Mysterio for her own personal gain to get back at Rhea Ripley? Doesn't Liv Morgan think that she's special because she's trying to outdo what Rhea Ripley was doing with Dominic Mysterio? Why isn't the Wyatt Six attacking Liv Morgan? So that begs an entirely different question. They never mentioned Chad Gable by name. I'm going to tell you this. They never mentioned Chad Gable by name. They never did. So how exactly are we to assume? So you're telling me, Damian, that we are to assume that the Wyatt Six are targeting Chad Gable because Chad Gable thinks he's special and he was abusing his family. That's why the Wyatt Six are attacking Chad Gable. On top of that, Chad Gable was abandoned by his family. Chad Gable was abandoned by his family before the Wyatt Six attacked him. So his family was already done with Gable before he was attacked by the Wyatt Six. So what reason did the Wyatt Six have to attack Chad Gable after Chad Gable already lost his family? It doesn't make sense. Your argument is an assumption, Damian. I appreciate you trying to give me an explanation, but I'm sorry, I think you should sit this one out. An assumption is not an argument. Chad Gable was never mentioned by name until I actually hear Bo Dallas or Uncle Howdy, until I actually hear them mention Gable by name and give us a legit explanation while using Gable's name as to why they're attacking him. I'm not going to sit here and assume anything. I'm not. I need a legit explanation with Chad Gable's name coming out of Bo Dallas, aka Uncle Howdy's mouth. Also, by the way, you're trying to use the brand split as an excuse, like WWE actually gives a fuck about the brand split. Look at what happened last night. Look what happened last night on SmackDown. Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso, two Monday Night Raw individuals were on SmackDown last night. But yet the brand split is all of a sudden meaningful. WWE hasn't given a fuck about the brand split. They should just end it. But Xavier Woods, in no way, shape, or form should Xavier Woods be beating Karrion Kross. Kross loses. Then we have a decent little beatdown. I will say that. The beatdown was decent, but how much does it really mean? Do you care about the Final Testament? Of course you don't. Damian Priest spoke to Dominic Mysterio backstage. Damian Priest said that he talked to Rhea and she is pissed. Dom said he's going to handle it. Liv Morgan was in the clubhouse. Damian, I don't give a fuck if they're a part of the Money in the Bank Go Home show or not. If you're a Monday Night Raw individual, then you shouldn't be appearing on SmackDown by your logic. You're trying to tell me that Bray Wyatt is on Raw, or the Wyatt Family 6 is on Raw, and the Bloodline are on SmackDown, but then you're trying to make a fucking excuse as to why we are seeing Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso, two Monday Night Raw individuals, on SmackDown the previous night. Now you're coming up with fucking excuses. Don't come at me with excuses, you bitch, all right? Don't come at me, of all people, with excuses. If there's one guy you do not want to try and come with excuses at, if you ain't going to come at me with facts, get the fuck out. Take your stupid ass out the door. Back to what I was saying. Dylan, or anyone who's a mod, if you are here, if Damian continues to be a fucking retard, block him. Block him. No, Jay, you fucking retard. Jay and Drew does not make sense, no matter whether they show up or not. Brand split rules. If you're going to argue brand split rules are to be applied for everyone. So Liv Morgan leaves the clubhouse. Thank you, Dylan. Liv Morgan leaves the Judgment Day clubhouse. Finn was trying to convince Priest that Liv Morgan is helpful to the Judgment Day. Priest was trying to calm Balor down. Balor said that since Priest won the world title, he has changed. Now, I like the fact that they are developing the excommunication of Damian Priest from the Judgment Day. That is going to be rather interesting. The one thing that shouldn't happen, though, we should not be getting the excommunication today. Today is not the day for that. Damian Priest should not be losing the championship to Seth Rollins, nor should we get Balor and the Judgment Day kicking Priest out. That is going to happen after SummerSlam. Damian Priest and Gunther should be your match at SummerSlam, not Rollins and Gunther. Seth Rollins, he's great at what he does, but you're not going to put the title on Seth Rollins just to take it off of him and give it to Gunther. That would be stupid. Speaking of Liv Morgan, she actually put on a very good match with Zelina Vega. Vega and Liv Morgan actually matched up very well together. So coming back from commercial, Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio were both out there. We had Liv Morgan with the Three Amigos, and then she locked in the Prism in tribute to Rhea Ripley. So Dominic Mysterio was sitting out there watching Liv Morgan do Rhea Ripley's moveset. Vega came in with a step-up kick and a moonsault for a 2. Both women traded pinfalls, counter for counter. Liv with an enziguri for a 2 count. Both women were then up top. Zelina Vega with a code red off of the middle rope, but Liv Morgan rolled out of the ring. Vega got Liv back into the ring. Rey Mysterio shoved Dominic down to the floor. Liv Morgan then with a wrecking ball drop kick to Rey Mysterio. Zelina Vega with a 619 and a beautiful satellite DDT. 1, 2. Liv Morgan kicked out. Great near fall right there. Dominic Mysterio then slid a steel chair in there, and he was telling Zelina Vega to use the chair. Zelina Vega ended up hitting Dominic with the chair. Liv Morgan came in with Oblivion, and Liv Morgan gets the win. Liv Morgan gets the win, and we get ourselves Liv Morgan going into the rest of the summer, potentially going into SummerSlam with the Women's World Championship. See, this is exactly what we need. This is what we need. You want to know what I've been complaining about when it comes to Liv Morgan's title reign? The fact that Liv Morgan is doing nothing but seducing Dominic Mysterio. When exactly are we going to see Liv Morgan wrestle? This is why I always say, pro wrestling first. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any story, but professional wrestling first. That should be the motto of every wrestling company. You do not need to make the show feel like a soap opera. It's not a soap opera. Wrestling is a sport. Wrestling should be looked upon as a sport. So now, Liv Morgan is defending the championship. We get ourselves a very good match. And I'm sitting here saying, you see what happens when you give 2 women the opportunity to go out there and do what they do best? You see what happens when you give 2 women who are not necessarily seen as main event talent, you let them go out there and you let them wrestle, we get something of substance. This is what I want to see from Liv Morgan's title reign. Less seduction, more professional wrestling. That's all I ask. Because Liv Morgan, she ain't one of the best, but she is a very good professional wrestler. Liv Morgan retains. Very good match. Very good match. Seth Rollins came out to address the crowd. Rollins says that there's confetti coming down from the arena. He said that it's a sign that there's going to be a new world champion. He hyped up Boston. They were in the TD Garden, Boston. He said that he will settle for nothing less than winning another world title. And if I don't win, who is Seth Rollins? When the pressure is at its highest, I am at my very best. Out comes Finn Balor. He's a member of the new World Tag Team Champions, along with JD McDonough. Balor says that he should be in a good mood, but he's not, because everything seems to be changing, and he blames Seth Rollins. Seth says Balor is jealous of Priest because he's got the world title and you couldn't get the job done against me. So out comes Damian Priest. Priest says, listen, Rollins, focus on me. This isn't a trap. This is my business, and no one is getting involved in my business. Priest says that Seth Rollins wants to say that his days as world champion are numbered. No, your days are numbered, Seth. Rollins then challenged Priest to a match tonight. He said they didn't even have to wait till Money in the Bank. Balor then attacked. Priest held him back. Rollins then super kicked Priest into Balor. Priest then with a South of Heaven chokeslam after Seth Rollins hits the stomp on Balor, and the Judgment Day leave as Seth Rollins is trying to get himself back up to his feet after being dropped by Damian Priest. This was solid. This was solid. I appreciate the story that they're telling there. I appreciate the tension that is building between Balor and Priest. However, Balor costing Priest would be a huge mistake. Again, I will state, costing Damian Priest the world championship just to put it on Rollins, and then Rollins holds it for 4 weeks and then gives it to Gunther, that is incredibly idiotic. Damian Priest has worked his fucking ass off to be in this position. There should be no such thing as a transitional champion. Damian Priest has worked his ass off to be in this position, and Damian Priest, he deserves the match with Gunther. We've never seen that match. We may never see that match again. Priest and Gunther is the way to go. Priest and Gunther is the way to go. Okay? Priest right now has proven that he can hold himself to that world championship caliber. So now we have ourselves a man in Damian Priest, someone who is being pushed over a lot of other people like Drew and Punk and Rollins and Balor. Priest is in this position. He's proven that he can hold his own as a world champion. Now you give him a match against Gunther, and even though he's going to lose, this match is going to take Damian Priest up several notches to a point where Damian Priest could potentially be another. He could be another world champion in the future. Maybe he's the undisputed WWE champion in the future. It all depends on where the cards fall. It all depends on where everything falls into place. It all depends on if the stars align for it. But Damian Priest has worked his ass off for a moment like this. It would be foolish to take it away from him, and it would be idiotic to give Seth Rollins a 4-week title reign, because Gunther's inevitably going to win. Whether you want to admit it or not, whether you like it or not, Gunther is going to win at SummerSlam, and he is the right man to win the world title at SummerSlam. Priest beats Rollins, and he solidifies his world title reign, and then Priest drops it to Gunther. Simple. Zoe Stark, Ivy Nile, and Dakota Kai. Money in the Bank qualifying match. This was another very good match for the women. So WWE's women's division was actually given a decent showcase on Raw, that much I will say. And it was Zoe Stark that gets the win with the Z360, thanks to Alba Fire and Isla Dawn causing a distraction. And Alba Fire and Isla Dawn ended up costing Dakota Kai the match. And I don't mind Stark winning this. I don't think anyone should mind Stark winning this. Stark is a good hand. She can put on a good match when you give her the opportunity to. And she does crazy shit in a ladder match. So if you want someone to make the match better, and you want someone who's not as injury prone, because as much as I love Dakota Kai, she's injury prone. You put a woman like Zoe Stark in there, she's going to give you some crazy shit in that match, because Zoe Stark is not injury prone. So it should be interesting to see. I don't see Zoe Stark winning, but I am all for giving women like Zoe Stark the opportunity. They played the second VHS tape. With Bo Dallas talking to Uncle Howdy. He asked did Bo Dallas, how much longer they're going to keep doing this. Uncle Howdy then asked, why are you here? Why are you here? Bo Dallas said, we are the ones that everyone abandoned. Uncle Howdy was happy. He says, how do you believe you make this connection in life? Bo Dallas talked about dying to become something beautiful. We've become a family, talking about the Wyatt Six. Now, there are false prophets exploiting their families for their own gain. They must pay for their sins. They must pay for their sins. He says, and I quote, I am the voice of the reckoning. Uncle Howdy says, I am the reckoning. I am the reckoning. He says, I am no one. And they kept repeating it over and over again. And then Uncle Howdy vanishes, and Bo Dallas said, I set them free. And then Bo Dallas vanishes, and Uncle Howdy appears. It's almost as if Bo Dallas is becoming Uncle Howdy. I mean, we all know that Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy, but the story that's being told in the VHS tape, Bo Dallas, he's having a conversation with his dark side, and now he's becoming one with his dark side. We're getting Bo Dallas's purpose. We're getting Bo Dallas's purpose for forming the Wyatt Six. All these false prophets, they're exploiting their families for personal gain, and now I'm going to be the voice of the reckoning. We are a family. We are a family. Everyone else abandoned us, and now we're going to make all them pay. I'm the one that set them free. It's perfect. It's perfect. And now again, I just hope we actually get an explanation as to why they're targeting Gable, and I hope that we see them wrestle soon. I do. Chad Gable and Otis had a sit-down interview, and Chad Gable tried to convince Otis to join up with him. Otis said he doesn't hate Gable, but he's not going to help him. Gable said, you don't know who's going to be next, but if they come and target you, I will have your back because you're my number one guy. I don't know if that's going to result in the Alpha Academy standing side by side with Gable again, or if we get the Creed brothers. If anything, the Creed brothers are the best possible option. I'm looking forward to seeing the Creed brothers in there. I really am. And I'm going to throw this out there. Chad Gable should be the winner of Money in the Bank. Chad Gable is the best man to win Money in the Bank. I do not want to hear a single fucking word at anyone. Dominic and Rey Mysterio. Rematch from WrestleMania 39. Decent match, but no one gives a fuck. No one cared about this match. This was all about the tension that is building between Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio, and when Dominic Mysterio is going to give in. That's the whole story here. And to be quite honest with you, it is getting a bit repetitive. It is getting repetitive. It is getting very lame. I don't really understand why we are continuing to drag this out. Why don't we just pull the trigger on it already? This has been the constant theme for the last 5 weeks now. And the only reason why they're doing this and why they're dragging it out so much is because Rhea Ripley's not going to be back in time for SummerSlam. It's already been reported. Rhea Ripley will not be back in time for SummerSlam. Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn came out to address the crowd. He was soaking in the ovation. He talked about defending the title against Braun Breaker at Money in the Bank, and he promised to beat Braun Breaker. Braun comes out. He says, you gained a little bit of my respect last week. Normally, everyone runs away from me. Everyone is afraid, but not you. You came after me. You got guts. I will say that. You got guts, but you have no idea what you're in for. On Saturday, all that respect goes out the window. and I will decimate you and become the new Intercontinental Champion, says Braun Breaker. Sammy said, you know how many guys said that? I am always going to put myself back together no matter how many times I am destroyed. And if you don't believe me, the proof is right here. And he showed the Intercontinental Championship to Braun Breaker. He put it right in his face. The proof is right here. You clearly have no idea who you are dealing with. You are not as smart as you think you are, and you're not as good as you think you are. Braun Breaker then went to leave, speared Sammy. Braun then went back for another spear. Sammy dodged it. Sammy dodged the spear. Breaker sent himself into the steps. Sammy then with an exploder suplex. He went for the haluva kick, but Braun Breaker attempted to stop it, and he stopped the haluva kick, and Breaker broke Sammy in half with a second spear and stood tall. This was awesome. This was awesome. This was a great sell to Money in the Bank, and it was the perfect way to make Braun Breaker look good while building up Sammy as the underdog babyface, even though he's the champion. And what's great about this is Braun Breaker, he's going to look good, but he doesn't have to win. Matter of fact, there's no need for Braun Breaker to win. Braun Breaker winning wouldn't make too much sense in Toronto, when in reality, you could do it at SummerSlam instead of Toronto. You could have Braun Breaker lose at Money in the Bank in a manner in which he looks dominant, but Sami Zayn just manages to squeak out a win. So Sami, he just squeaks out a win, and then we get the rematch at SummerSlam, and at SummerSlam, it's Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn, and Braun wins it then. Braun wins it then. He's not going to win at Money in the Bank, but he will win at SummerSlam. Trust me on that. Main event was Drew McIntyre, Ilya Dragunov, and Sheamus. This was an excellent triple threat match. This was to determine the final spot in Money in the Bank, and it went to Drew McIntyre as expected. I can absolutely see Drew McIntyre costing, or he's cost, excuse me. Drew McIntyre is robbed again of a big-time moment, and Drew McIntyre does not win Money in the Bank. I'm going with CM Punk to cost Drew McIntyre. It only makes sense. It only makes sense. There's no better time for Drew McIntyre to completely lose his shit. We thought he already lost his shit. He hasn't lost his shit yet. Drew hasn't lost his shit yet. Now that we got Drew in another big-time match scenario, Drew was already cost at WrestleMania. So Drew was robbed of the WrestleMania win by CM Punk. Then he was robbed of the world title at Clash at the Castle by CM Punk. Now he gets robbed of the Money in the Bank briefcase by CM Punk. And at that point, Drew McIntyre will have absolutely nothing left to do except to go after Punk and completely decimate him, rip him limb from limb, and that's going to be one of your SummerSlam matches. It will be Punk and it will be McIntyre. That's the way to go. That is the best route to go. Solid show for Monday Night Raw. AEW Dynamite Beach Break. This was one of the best AEW Dynamites of the year. Matter of fact, there was little to nothing to complain about this show. From start to finish, everything on this show, it meant something. It flowed beautifully. And this was a very good follow-up show from the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. And easily the best Dynamite since March. We were getting some bangers. We were getting some bangers in March. I don't know what happened, but sometime after March, AEW started to dip. April wasn't a very good month for them. May and June were somewhat decent, but they were inconsistent. But now we got ourselves a full-fledged, focused show for Dynamite coming out of Forbidden Door. Renee Paquette was backstage with Daniel Garcia. We had an interview with Daniel Garcia and MJF said he's going to be in Daniel Garcia's corner. Daddy Magic said, I didn't trust you, but you know what? If you got Danny's best interest in mind, you're good with me. Obviously, that did not work out well, and it was a great way to end Dynamite, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Bryan Danielson and Pac, they kicked off the show. Semifinals of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. This was a great match from start to finish, and the transitions towards the end, those transitions between Pac and Bryan Danielson, the transitions of pinfalls looked awesome, and in the end, Bryan Danielson ended up getting the win over Pac with a crucifix pin. Pac did not get the job done here against Danielson. Bryan is going to the finals. He was the right man to go to the finals. And based on what we see tonight, I think we all know who is going to be Bryan's opponent in the finals. Great match here by Bryan and Pac. And this is exactly what I mean. Professional wrestling first. The show was built around wrestling. We got a great match. And Bryan ended up walking out victorious. Bryan is going to the finals next week in Calgary. Mark Briscoe. He comes out talking about the conglomeration. Gotta love Mark Briscoe. So Mark Briscoe, he's all hyped up. He talks about being a chicken, but he ain't scared of shit. Jack Perry must have shoved a horseshoe up his ass because he won the TNT Championship. This week is Shark Week. And when I think of Shark Week, I think of blood. And when I think of blood, I think of blood and guts. 3 weeks from tonight, I declare myself in Team AEW. All of a sudden, Jack Perry comes out to attack Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe was saved by Kyle O'Reilly. Out comes Kazuchika Okada. Out comes Kazuchika Okada. And he delivers a Rainmaker to Kyle O'Reilly. The Young Bucks then came out and revealed, or not, they didn't reveal anything. They reveled in their handiwork. They delivered a BTE trigger on Briscoe, and out came the Acclaimed. And the Elite ran off. So this was a fun segment here. I don't mind Mark Briscoe being in Blood and Guts. Does he make sense? I guess you could say he kind of makes sense because Jack Perry cost him the TNT Championship, but he doesn't really have any long-term history with the Elite. However, they want to have some crazy shit in Blood and Guts. Mark Briscoe's going to do some crazy shit, that's for sure. Mark Briscoe's going to do some crazy shit, and based on what we're seeing, it looks like Mark Briscoe is going to be Jack Perry's first opponent for the TNT Championship. The only thing that you don't get, Damian, is MJF turns heel. Well, you know why? Because Adam Cole's not ready to come back. Adam Cole's not ready. He's still recovering from injury. Adam Cole is not on TV because his ankle injury has not fully recovered. He's not ready to come back. And on top of that, you take a look at the direction that they're going. The direction is Ospreay versus MJF at All In. Ospreay is a babyface, so why not definitively showcase who the characters are? MJF is the heel in this story, and Will Ospreay is the babyface. Plus, MJF is much better as a heel. That's why MJF turned heel on Garcia. It's quite simple. They did it in Chicago because Chicago's the hotter crowd. That's why they did it in Chicago. This was the best way to do it because now we have a clear-cut direction of where they're going as we head into their biggest show of the year. It's going to be MJF and Ospreay because Adam Cole is not ready to come back. Adam Cole is still recovering from injury. That is why he has not gotten his revenge yet. You can't just wait for Adam Cole to come back and then pick up where you left off. You need to continue moving on. Raging Girl Gamer, how you doing? What's up, DJ? How was your 4th of July? My 4th of July was very relaxing. I actually helped my dad with some work in the backyard, and then I was in my pool. Then I had some sausage. I had some barbecue ribs. I had some potato salad. I had some green beans and mushrooms. It was a good 4th of July. It was a very relaxing 4th of July. Very happy to see you in here, Raging Girl Gamer. We're just talking about Dynamite which was a great show, by the way. Probably AEW's best week in months since coming out of the month of March, which was a very good month for them. I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you and your husband are doing very well this summer. Hope you had a great 4th of July as well. So getting back to what I was saying, Mark Briscoe is the first member of Team AEW, and it seems as though he is going to be Jack Perry's first opponent for the TNT Championship. I'm sure a lot of people would not complain about that because Mark Briscoe is great and Jack Perry is great. Should be a solid first TNT title defense for the scapegoat himself. Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander. This was the semifinals of the Women's Owen Hart Cup tournament, and we got a very good match here between these two ladies. This was much better than the match that they had back at World's End in Long Island. The match back at World's End in Long Island was actually a little clunky. It was a little sloppy. It was a little discombobulated. This one was a lot better. Both women brought it. I could have watched them go a little bit longer. So we ended up getting a victory for Willow. I was kind of shocked about this, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this was the wrong outcome here. Statlander would have been the best possible winner. However, it's not all bad. It's not all bad because next week I can see Statlander costing Willow Nightingale, and then we get ourselves another match with Statlander and Willow going into All In. Maybe that match is on the buy-in or the 0 hour, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I certainly wouldn't mind that. I'm sure a lot of people would not mind that at all. If we get a women's match between Statlander and Willow Nightingale, those two women are great. Those two women are awesome. So Statlander loses. Willow just gets the victory. Very good match. Although Statlander would have been the better individual because she right now is the better heel. And Mariah, I mean, no one's going to boo Mariah right now. No one's going to boo Mariah. Mariah May, she is the favorite to win this tournament, and she's going to get the moment at Wembley Stadium against Toni Storm. Very good match nonetheless. Wrong outcome. Tony Schiavone introduced Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and she looked great. She looked awesome. She said she thought about what she wanted to say, and she said that we all have a past, a present, and a future. Let's talk about the past. In the past, we learn lessons. The present is a gift, and the future is motivation. Everyone was asking, where was Britt? I was injured. Mentally, I was on empty, and I had to tell myself that I wasn't good because one day I woke up and my vision was blurry, my arm was tingling, I couldn't even open a bottle of water. My right side completely stopped working, and I had what is known as a mini stroke. Her brain was not getting enough blood flow, and she had to tell herself that she wasn't good. She needed to take time off to get herself right. So let's jump to the present. Guess what? I now am cleared and I am healthy. I am ready to go. And I was never more nervous than when I came out at Forbidden Door. I have never doubted myself more. Everyone has a fear of rejection, and it's persistent. It's irrational, but it's persistent. But when I needed All Elite Wrestling the most, when I needed you guys the most, said Britt Baker, you all welcomed me back with open arms, and I will always be in your corner. Now we go to the future. When you are going through a hard time, it will make it that much better when you finally get to the other side. When you get to the other side, if you're going through a hard time, it will make you that much better, and you will be more prouder than ever, said Britt. All of a sudden, we see a car roll up. And this was right after Britt Baker threw some shade at Mercedes Moné. She threw some shade at Mercedes Moné, saying that she's manipulating the fan base by getting them to chant CEO because she puts it in her entrance theme. So now we see the car roll up. Mercedes looks like $1 million, walking out with her 2 titles. She meets up with the EVPs, and the EVPs said, don't worry, we're getting your stuff ready for your big championship celebration. And Britt Baker, she stands her ground. She stands in the ring. She doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And then we see Mercedes come on out. Mercedes says, listen, at Forbidden Door, I made it historical by becoming a double champion. The crowd is chanting, shut the fuck up, which I thought was amazing. So right then and there, the Chicago fans are letting you know who the babyface is and who the heel is. Mercedes then told her to get in line because you just came back and you've done nothing. You've done absolutely nothing to earn yourself a title match. Britt Baker was talking about All In and how she competed at the first All In. She competed at last year's All In, while Mercedes was looking like a broke bitch with a broken leg in the stands. And then she said, what line? Bitch, what line are you talking about? Mercedes says, there is a price to pay when you mess with Mercedes Moné. So that was the end of the segment. We got ourselves a great promo between both of these women. We got ourselves a definitive direction of where they're going into All In. And AEW set up not one, not two, but 3 big-time matches leading up into All In. We got ourselves our 1, 2, 3 punch for All In. And we're going to talk about those matches towards the end of the show. Will Ospreay was in the back. He was talking to Don Callis about Forbidden Door. He says that he wants out of the Don Callis family. Don says, I'll do you this favor, and one day I'll ask you for a favor. Interesting. What is that favor? I don't know. I think I may know what that favor is. We'll talk about that when we get to Rampage. Chris Jericho came out. I am the Learning Tree. Hi, guys. Thanks, guys. Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho comes out. He says, hi, guys. He says he's going to guest commentate. Hook stole his finisher. That is the ultimate sign of disrespect, and that doesn't work for me, brother. I actually chuckled at that. Taz was then removed from commentary. He says that Taz was biased. He needs to be a fair and impartial commentator, and he was not a fair and impartial commentator. He spoke to Matthew and Nicholas, and you are relieved of your commentary duties, and you must vacate the Wintrust Arena immediately. Bye, Taz. This was actually funny. I'm not going to lie. This was funny. We got the Cage of Agony. They took on Hook, Katsuyori Shibata, and Samoa Joe. Now, I'm going to throw this out there. Hook, Shibata, and Joe, the more that they come out, the more and more that people are starting to gravitate towards them. And they may have no choice but to put the trios titles on these 3. They may have no choice but to put the trios titles on these 3 when it's all said and done. Match was decent. Nothing really over the top or crazy. But the main thing that happened here was after the match, we got ourselves a beatdown between Big Bill, the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, and the Bad Apple, Brian Keith. Brian Keith revealed that he was faking the arm injury. He ripped the sling off. We had Samoa Joe get bashed against the steps with a chair by Big Bill, and then Big Bill with a picture-perfect choke slam through the table to Hook. You know, if I was to describe the whole Learning Tree gimmick, the one thing that I would use is it's weird. It's very, very weird because 1 minute it's not resonating and it's cringe, and then the next minute it's actually good. We got a good beatdown. The match between the Cage of Agony, Hook, Shibata, and Joe was good, and then Jericho's promo actually came off funny. It's very, very weird. It's a very up and down gimmick. I don't know if that is because Chris Jericho is fighting against the fact that he needs a break, or he's fighting against the fact that fans don't really like it, but the more that Jericho does it, he's going to get it over. It's very, very odd. It's a very, very roller coaster-like gimmick. If I was to describe it, I'd probably have to use the term topsy-turvy. I don't really know what I'm going to get. No one really knows what they're going to get. 1 minute it's going to be bad, and then the next minute it's going to be interesting. It's very weird. It's like everyone's developing a love-hate relationship with it. Very odd. But for 1 week, it was a decent segment. Go figure. Jeff Jarrett, he took on the wild card, quarterfinals match of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Who was the wild card? Who? But Hangman Adam Page. Excellent. Excellent. This is exactly what needed to happen. And Hangman, he came out, he had the mustache, he didn't shave, he was very, very, very angry. He was very, very focused and determined, and he was just beating the shit out of Jarrett. This was probably the best Jeff Jarrett match that we've seen since his match with Orange Cassidy. Everything about this was perfectly done. Hangman was the heel that was beating Jarrett down. Jarrett was playing the come-behind babyface because Jeff Jarrett wanted to win it because of his friendship with Owen. The sharpshooter spot was a great spot where Jeff Jarrett got a big pop because he locked in the sharpshooter. But you want to know what the best part about this was? And this was probably the best thing about the entire show. Hangman, he was on his knees in the ring. Jeff Jarrett was off to the side trying to recover. And all you hear from the crowd is the crowd going, "Whose house? Swerve's house. Whose house? Swerve's house." And you could see Hangman becoming angrier and angrier and angrier. You know what this reminded me of? This reminded me of NXT Black and Gold. Remember when NXT was actually good? NXT Black and Gold in 2018, it reminded me of when Tommaso Ciampa came out to the ring with no theme music, and he was standing in the ring. The guy didn't even say a word, and all you heard was the crowd chanting, "Johnny Wrestling." That's what it reminds me of. That was a throwback to NXT Black and Gold right there. Hangman didn't even say a word, and all you hear is the crowd chanting, "Whose house? Swerve's house." Props to Chicago for doing that. That was an excellent, excellent spot right there. Hangman wins, as he should. The Learning Tree and his branches, they attacked Samoa Joe's faction and threw a fireball at Hook. And then Adam Page, he was approached by the Young Bucks backstage before the main event, and he says he is done with their childish bullshit. "I am going to win the Owen, and I am not going to need you." And I'll tell you why this was great too. Hangman didn't join Blood and Guts yet. He didn't join Blood and Guts yet. He'll join. He didn't join yet because he doesn't have a reason to join. But watch what happens when Swerve enters into Blood and Guts. Swerve Strickland is going to be in Blood and Guts. Swerve Strickland's going to be involved in Blood and Guts, and Swerve Strickland, he is going to be the deciding factor of Hangman joining Blood and Guts. And that's going to be great. That is going to be awesome. Main event was Daniel Garcia and Will Ospreay, AEW International Championship. This was another great match, and it resulted in Will Ospreay winning because MJF tried to convince Garcia to use the ring. Garcia said no. Ospreay then tried to console Garcia afterwards. MJF then went to Danny and he said that it was on him. These people still love you. MJF then raised Garcia's hand and hugged him. We all thought that was it, but that wasn't going to be it. MJF with a low blow. MJF put the ring on. Ring punch to Daniel Garcia. Ring punch to Daddy Magic. And all you see is Danny Garcia busted open. MJF has he's got a white guinea tee on. and the t-shirt is just stained with Garcia's blood. The t-shirt is stained with Garcia's blood, and then he takes him up to the middle rope, gives him a fucking tombstone. Christopher Daniels is saying, why the hell did you do that? Why did you do that? Then you had Will Ospreay come out. MJF is like, come on, come on, come on. And MJF leaves the ring. MJF leaves the ring. This was awesome. Then we had Garcia stretchered out of the building, and MJF leaves through the crowd by flipping people off, tripping over garbage cans, and flipping the popcorn buckets. It was great. Excellent shit. And we got ourselves 3 big matches set for All In within one night. Hangman Swerve, Ospreay, MJF, Mercedes, and Britt. That is your 1, 2, 3 punch for All In. Excellent, excellent, excellent show. I wish I could say the same thing about SmackDown. SmackDown really wasn't anything of substance. The only thing that came out of SmackDown was the fact that the tag team division shined. We had 2 very good tag team matches on this show. And if anything, WWE showcased to everyone that if they want to have a solid tag team division, they absolutely could have a solid tag team division. If they give them the opportunity, if they give these teams the opportunity, they create structure, they make tag team wrestling substance. You give them the time of the show. You give them opportunities that you're giving to guys like the Bloodline and people like Cody and Kevin and Randy and Rollins and Drew and Punk and the Judgment Day. You give the tag team division the time of day, you're going to get yourself a great addition to the show, and you're going to get yourselves more stars that you can invest your time in. Stars like DIY, stars like the Street Profits, stars like the AOP, the Judgment Day, Pretty Deadly, etc., etc. Show kicked off with all 6 members of the Money in the Bank ladder match in a pretty standard open. All of the members came out and they made their case as to why they should win Money in the Bank. The one thing that was the standout in this segment, it was Drew McIntyre. I mean, go figure. Drew McIntyre, after everyone came out, Drew came out last. Drew was ragging on everyone. And then Drew, he stared at Jey Uso and he goes, how did you even get across the border anyway? Little dig at the Usos' DUI record right there. That was awesome. That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic shit right there. See, that is why Drew McIntyre is loved by the fans right there. Drew McIntyre is an absolute savage. Gotta love it. Other than that, I mean, it was a very, very standard, very, very blah segment. I mean, if you were to pick this shit out and you were to put it in the Vince McMahon administration segment, we've seen this shit time and time and time and time again. It's becoming ridiculous, honest to God. It's becoming ridiculous. Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly. Again, like I said, if WWE wants to invest in tag team wrestling and they want to have a solid competitive tag team division, they absolutely could. This was a solid match right here. And this is what Pretty Deadly needs. Less gimmicky shit from Pretty Deadly. Less gimmicky shit, more wrestling. And that's exactly what we got. Street Profits here. They end up taking the win over Pretty Deadly with the Sky High Frog Splash combo. Street Profits win. Maybe we get a match with the Street Profits and the new WWE Tag Team Champions, which we're going to talk about in just a little bit. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell took on Jade Cargill and Bianca. Pretty typical. We've seen this shit before. Bianca and Jade, they get the win. And then afterwards, they cut a promo saying that they're coming for the women's tag team titles and they're coming to get them back. At this point, when can we say that Jade Cargill's been a failure? When can we say that Jade Cargill's a failure in the WWE? Really? I'm genuinely asking a question here. Jade Cargill has been signed to the WWE for nearly a year. It has been nearly 1 year since Jade Cargill signed with the WWE, and she has done absolutely nothing of note. She has not had one memorable match. She has not had one memorable moment. She has not had one memorable performance. She has not had one memorable promo. Matter of fact, this is actually bringing Bianca Belair down several notches. I'm happy that Bianca is taking a break from the main event scene. That's a good thing that Bianca's taking a break from the women's title scene. But it's fucking ridiculous that she is being used as nothing more than a shield to mask Jade Cargill's flaws. That is pathetic. Matter of fact, and you can fucking quote me on this, that one match, that last match that Jade had in AEW, that match with Chris Statlander on a random episode of Rampage, that one match with Jade Cargill and Chris Statlander, that last match in AEW for Jade, that was better than anything that Jade has done in WWE since she got there. Fact. Jade Cargill has not done anything. I swear to God, she was putting on better matches in AEW. She was putting on better matches in All Elite Wrestling, more so than she was putting on in WWE. Every single match that she has had in WWE, every single moment, every single accomplishment that she's had in WWE has been forgettable as fuck. She has botched more times than not in the last 2 to 3 months, more so than I've ever seen her botch in AEW. I kid you not. We need to get Jade off of TV and into the Performance Center, and until she is fucking ready, and I mean ready to stand on her own, do not put her on TV. Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, they came out to address the Bloodline. Cody and Randy, they had pretty typical promos. However, the main promo here was Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens cut an excellent promo here. Kevin Owens was talking about how usually when these shows come to Toronto, it's a good time because all the family comes up, the family gets together, and the family enjoys professional wrestling, but they can't do that because the last few days I was in Quebec because my mother had to be rushed to the hospital, and she's in the hospital right now fighting like hell. He said, and I quote, "There is one person that would have been pissed off if I missed the show, and that would be my mother, because my mother told me to realize my dream and leave it all in the ring. She would be pissed if I missed the show. So all I care about is doing what my mom wanted me to do, and that is beating the Bloodline's asses worse than ever before." Kevin Owens is a great promo when you give him the microphone and just let him speak from the heart. Kevin Owens is a great promo. Do I think they're going to win? No, I don't think they're going to win. I think the Bloodline's going to win. If anything, there's no doubt that the Bloodline should win. It's ridiculous to even assume the Bloodline should lose. Some people are saying that Roman Reigns is going to return tomorrow. Listen, if Roman returns tomorrow, I'm not going to have an issue with that at all. Because then that means we're going to get Roman versus Solo at SummerSlam. But if anything, Roman should have returned last night on SmackDown, and we should be building towards Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship at Money in the Bank, and then we should be building to Cody versus Randy Orton at SummerSlam. The fact that we're building towards Solo versus Cody is a complete joke. Not because Solo's not good, but because he hasn't been built up enough. Solo is not credible enough to stand face-to-face with Cody yet. He's not. I love what they've been doing with Solo. What Solo has been doing with the Bloodline, this is the best version of the Bloodline that we have seen since Sami Zayn was last in the bloodline. No joke. No joke. But he hasn't been built up enough. Now, if Solo was fighting Roman at SummerSlam and we were going to get Cody versus Orton, Cody beats Orton, Solo beats Roman with a victory over Roman, that would put Solo over the edge, and that would make Solo credible enough to challenge Cody Rhodes. But right now, he's not. I'm sorry, he's not. But the promo was very simple, very effective. Can't really shit on the promo. Next week on SmackDown, we got Michin versus Nia Jax, and we got Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews versus Legado del Fantasma. Bayley, she had a rematch from Clash at the Castle. She took on Piper Niven. I mean, what do you think happened here? Bayley won. Bayley won. What do you think happened? I need to throw this out there, and I don't know. I honest to God don't know what the fuck they are doing, and I don't know what you guys have been paying attention to, but I have been paying attention to this shit very, very, very intently. Bayley's title reign has fucking sucked. I kid you not. Bayley's title reign has absolutely fucking sucked. And it's quite frankly depressing. You take a look at what she did at WrestleMania. That was a great match with Io Sky. But following WrestleMania, they have given Bayley absolutely nothing to work with. And it's absolutely disgusting. Bayley has been the women's champion since coming out of WrestleMania. And they have done absolutely nothing to make her championship reign feel important. They built her up to a point where she was the most over women on SmackDown. She beat Io Sky, and they built nobody else up on SmackDown to stand face-to-face with her and look credible. Coming out of the triple threat match at Backlash, WWE has seemingly given up on Bayley. And that is ridiculous. That's the problem that I have with the WWE. They do not put any effort into anyone outside of their main stars. Even Bayley, who has been around since God knows how long. She's been around since 2010, 2011 in the WWE, and yet they don't even put enough effort into her. We got to wait till SummerSlam. We got to wait till Bayley's fighting Nia Jax to actually get some substance. Bayley's title reign has sucked, and WWE should be ashamed of themselves. That really pisses me off right there. And then the main event, DIY versus A-Town Down Under, WWE Tag Team Championships. A lot of commercials in this match. A lot of commercials. But this ended up being a very good match. And DIY win the WWE Tag Team Championships in the same building that they won the NXT Championships in. And I thought that was a great moment. Now, I actually had it in my mind that they were not going to win. I actually thought that they may have saved this match for Cleveland. I thought that they were going to save this match and this big moment for SummerSlam, and we were going to have DIY win the tag team titles over A-Town Down Under at SummerSlam. Apparently, that's not what they were going to do. They didn't do that at all, and they gave them the tag team titles here. Now, I'd like to hope that maybe that's a step towards giving the tag team division more opportunities, but I'm not going to hold my breath. One night full of good tag team wrestling here on SmackDown, one good night full of tag team wrestling does not excuse what they've been doing following WrestleMania. We'll see what happens, but this was a very good match here with DIY and A-Town Down Under, and DIY are the new WWE Tag Team Champions. Solo Sikoa cut a promo in the back. This pre-recorded promo was actually pretty decent. He said that Roman wasn't man enough to defend the title in his match with Cody. I am now coming for Cody Rhodes. And if Roman wants the head of the table title back, then he's going to have to take it from me. Cody, I am coming for you, and you will acknowledge me. I appreciate what they're doing with Solo, but again, he is not ready. He's not ready. There is no way that anyone can look at a championship match between Solo and Cody and look at that as a SummerSlam-worthy match. No, it should be Orton and Cody at SummerSlam. Roman versus Solo is the best route to go, and a victory over Roman, that will give Solo enough credibility to challenge Cody Rhodes for the championship. If you want to do it out of Bash in Berlin, fine. You want to do it out of Bad Blood or a Crown Jewel, fine. Fine. But SummerSlam? Come on. Come on. You got to do better than Cody and Solo. Let's be real here. That was SmackDown. Very, very, very lackluster show, minus the tag team matches. And if we're going to be quite honest here, it was a little disappointing seeing that WWE built up Money in the Bank very nicely. Money in the Bank was probably the best built-up pay-per-view for WWE all year. No joke. The build to Money in the Bank has been excellent. And then they shit the bed on the final show before Money in the Bank. AEW Rampage Beach Break. I don't know what changed, but this was probably the best Rampage that we have gotten in many months. Probably the best Rampage that we've gotten since the beginning of the year. And AEW, Tony Khan, they did what they needed to do with Rampage. I don't ask for much when it comes to Rampage. All I ask is for some substance, and I ask that they don't oversaturate the show. So instead of 5 matches on Rampage, we got 4 matches on Rampage. Not only did we get some matches, but we got some promo work. We got some promo work, and Don Callis gave us a replacement for Will Ospreay in the Don Callis family. Let's talk about it a little bit. The show kicked off with Commander and Roosh. This was a good match, not a great match, but a good match nonetheless. Good match here. Roosh looked good. Don Callis was on commentary, and Roosh wins clean with the bull's horns. Might I add, Roosh, he may have the best hesitation dropkick in the business right now. Roosh's hesitation dropkick is fucking brutal. I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. I swear to God, at some points, I feel like Roosh is going to dislocate someone's jaw with that dropkick that he has. His dropkick is absolutely nasty. Roosh gets the win. Roosh gets the win here over Commander. And then afterwards, he shares a little moment with Don Callis. Afterwards, we move into the tag team match. It is Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher versus Private Party. So AEW, they did tag team wrestling well as well. They did tag team wrestling good here on a Friday night. Don Callis family attacked Brother Zay and Mark Quinn right out of the gate. We had a springboard dropkick by Mark Quinn. Springboard moonsault on Takeshita. Double suplex by Takeshita on Private Party. By the way, he did it perfectly. Double senton on Takeshita. Or by Takeshita, excuse me. Double senton by Takeshita on Private Party. Coming back from commercial, Isaiah Cassidy got the tag. Springboard crossbody, springboard dropkick on Kyle Fletcher. Private Party was in control. Brother Zay with a tornillo to the floor. Swanton bomb by Cassidy. 450 by Quinn, but the knees got up. Takeshita with a deadlift German suplex. We then had a double brainbuster on Private Party. Double kick out. Crowd was chanting, Private Party. Private Party. We had a gin and juice on Takeshita. Silly string on Kyle Fletcher. 450 splash connects on Takeshita. 1, 2. Takeshita kicks out. Takeshita then with 2 lariats on Brother Zay and Mark Quinn. Tag to Fletcher. Pile driver reversed into a close roll-up. The ending was beautiful here. Fletcher with a half-and-half suplex on Mark Quinn. Isaiah Cassidy was caught in a picture-perfect Blue Thunder bomb by Konosuke Takeshita, and then Mark Quinn was delivered with a pile driver, and Mark Quinn ended up getting the win, or getting pinned, excuse me. Mark Quinn ended up getting pinned. Kyle Fletcher got the win for his team in what was easily the best match on the entire show. Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita, they get the win over Private Party. And if they want to experiment with Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita in the tag team division, I certainly would not mind that at all. I wouldn't mind that at all. Matter of fact, that would be a very, very, very intriguing addition to the tag team division. I'd love to see more from Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita in the tag team division. Very good tag team match. We got a pre-recorded video package which showcased Roosh and Don Callis. And Roosh has agreed to do business with Don Callis. And if my calculations are correct, it does seem like Roosh could be the favor that Don Callis wants Will Ospreay to give him. Roosh is going to be in a scenario where he's going to fight Will Ospreay. Maybe sometime after All In, we're going to get Roosh and Will Ospreay for the AEW International Championship. And if they want to have Roosh take the title off of Will Ospreay, I am certainly not going to sit here and bitch and moan about that. That right there is a great match, no matter where you look. That right there would be a perfect match for All Out in the Now Arena. Will Ospreay and Roosh, I'm certainly not going to complain. You could take my money for that one. You could take my money there. Kyle O'Reilly took on GPA. Really didn't need this match on the show. Very meaningless. If anything, this is just another layer on top of what they're doing with Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know when Kyle O'Reilly is going to join the Undisputed Kingdom, and quite frankly, I don't really give a shit because they haven't done anything to make it interesting. All I care about is Kyle O'Reilly going in there and having bangers. I don't really care whether he's a part of the Undisputed Kingdom or not. They haven't really done too much to build up the Undisputed Kingdom, and without MJF fighting the Undisputed Kingdom's ice cold. Meaningless match. Kyle O'Reilly wins. Samoa Joe cut a promo. He talked about steering Hook away from parasites like Chris Jericho. Chris, he was talking to Chris. How much faith do you have in the security guards? These security guards that will protect you. I will take you on next week, and I will torture you. Who will stop me from doing things that I'm willing to do? I'm going to massacre you. So I will ask again, do you have any faith in anyone that can stop me? Samoa Joe, whenever he talks, you listen. Samoa Joe is always a great promo, whether he's talking for 45 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Quality TV is Samoa Joe. The ladies got the main event. Last thing we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get on out of here. The ladies got the main event. It was Mariah May versus Hikaru Shida in the semifinals of the Women's Owen Hart Cup tournament. The crowd was chanting, "Holy Shida, holy Shida." The crowd was fully behind Hikaru Shida. And that actually switched up a little bit later. We had Mariah May and Shida going back and forth a little bit. Mariah May mounted a comeback with a Hurricane Rana and a missile dropkick for a 2 count. Shida with an enziguri and a superplex for a 2 count. We had a spinning side slam by Mariah. German suplex by Shida. German suplex by Mariah. Shida with a Falcon Arrow. Mariah May kicked out at 1. May with a back suplex. Hip attack. Headbutt. Shida with a punt knee. Shida went for the katana, but Mariah May reversed it into a leverage pin. Leverage pin. Mariah with a beautiful bridge, and Mariah May gets the win, and she advances to next week in Calgary to fight Willow Nightingale, and the winner of that match will indeed be fighting for the Women's Championship against Toni Storm. Solid main event right here. I'm glad that the ladies got the main event. Mariah May looked great, and Mariah May continues to get better with every passing match that she wrestles. Was it a great show? Was it a blowaway show? No, it was not. But I don't ask for banger shows every single week. I don't ask for blowaway shows every single week. That's impossible. You can't do that. But from what we got, I'm glad that we were able to get a show full of substance. We got ourselves great wrestling. The show flowed well. It wasn't overstuffed. Most of everything mattered. We got ourselves a replacement for Will Ospreay. We got a promo by Samoa Joe. And Mariah May advances to the finals. Mariah is going to fight Willow next week. In the end, it was a pretty decent episode of Rampage. That's all I asked for. I want a decent episode of Rampage. We got a decent episode of Rampage. Simple. Good show. That's all I got for you, people. That is all that I got for you. We're clocking in at 2 hours and 18 minutes. Thank you very much for stopping on by. You guys were fantastic. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. Be sure to set your calendar dates tomorrow for the Rewind for Money in the Bank at 2 p.m. And then on Tuesday, it's the Rewind for Heatwave at 8:30 p.m. And then we got ourselves a big-time episode of the Savage Storm Wrestling Super Show coming to you guys next Thursday at 8 p.m. Till next time, I am DJ Storms, and this has been the Lightning Flash Update. But before we get out of here, you already know the question I'm about to ask people. Who runs the IWC? It's quite obvious, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Who runs the IWC? Who but DJ motherfucking Storms? And don't you ever, ever forget it.
Retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution!